Oh, that was it? I thought there for some reason, I thought it was longer. How y'all peeps? How we all doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Paranormal with the old man and his daughter. Hey, Jess.
Hey, Dad, you sound sick.
Yeah, I I contemplated not doing this today. My throat's been sore since like Friday. I mean, I feel fine otherwise. Just I think what it was is Thursday. I had some hot pizza bites or pizza rolls.
Mm-hmm.
It might have burned a little bit going down. So yeah, so the longer I talk, the worse I sound. So yeah, I thought about canceling or postponing, but I'm like, I can do this. I can soldier on. We'll
Because
see.
you sound so much different than you did yesterday. Like you
Yeah.
sound like sick, like sick.
No, actually, I feel good. I mean, I have I don't I don't have a headache or anything like that. It's just like I said, the more I talk, the more my throat hurts. No, not even hurts. It's more scratchy. So, yeah, we'll soldier on here, and you might have to take over
Okay.
because yeah, I do have some smart water, but I do realize though that they lie to you because um Speedway has what is it called? It's called thin French vanilla coffee.
Yeah.
It does not make you thin. I tried it, does not make you thin. And this smart water, it hasn't made me smart yet, so I don't know.
Oh, thank you so much of Dark Matters podcast for following and joining the fan club.
Ah, yes. But you know what though, Jess? I'm starting to worry a little bit. We haven't heard from Ava in now 3 weeks.
I know. I hope she's doing okay.
Yeah, I hope she's doing okay too. Um, I guess before we start, or I start, or we start, whatever, talking about Bath, do we have any in the news paranormal stuff that we need to talk about first?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
No, I
I
think
like. I guess
I think everyone's kind of preparing for the Conjuring House next month.
yes. The auction on Halloween. See, I don't even have to like to describe my voice to try to sound scary. I'm
No.
just talking normal. I'm talking normal, and my voice is already going down. Um, yeah, your mom actually went over to grandma's this morning, so she goes, "This afternoon, can we put up the Halloween stuff?" I'm like, Brenda, it's not even October yet. I promise you, next weekend I will put up the Halloween stuff. I just had to, and I told her too, is I forgot. I know I put them someplace, but I don't know where I put the remote control for Skelly or the batteries.
Oh.
Yeah, I have no idea, dude. And then we got lights from at Home Depot to illuminate Skelly and to illuminate the Reaper. The Reaper animation that we have. I don't know where those are at either.
God. I right now Target's having a sale. So, I'm planning on after this buying our Halloween stuff.
Hmm.
But I need to double check that the outlet outside works because I thought when the inspector did his thing, he said it didn't.
Now, is that the one in front? Because I know. I mean, obviously, duh. It's kind of a stupid question, but the one by your back patio works because we use that one. So, are you talking
Yes.
about the one out front then?
Yeah. Because I
Okay.
thought he said that it did not work at all. So I was like, okay, because if it doesn't work, I can't buy the inflatable I want, which is like a cat wearing like a wearing a sheet to make himself look like a ghost on sitting on a pumpkin.
Oh, okay. Oh, hey, too.
So
I'm not meaning to interrupt, but
Yeah.
of Dark Matters, he joined our fan club, the first one.
Yeah, so I said he
Woo!
followed the host and joined the fan club.
Damn! Thank you, dude. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, just as you were, because if I didn't say something, I would forget.
No
So
worries.
okay, so you're talking about getting a cat inflatable?
Yeah, that and they have these little like lights that you can put like in the ground like alongside like the sidewalk. So I
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
get some of those too. Since we kind of said yesterday that we're going to pass out candy this year.
Well,
So
dang straight, dude. It's
yeah.
tradition.
Yeah. We have a lot of kids though. Like there's a lot of kids in this neighborhood. So
Oh, yeah.
I told Dustin we'll probably end up getting like 2 or 3 bags of candy. And
Yep. Okay,
just
is that Yen yapping back there?
you can hear that?
Yeah, I can.
It's Thina.
You know, I
She's
I hear.
she just started crying.
Hey, open the door, mommy. Open the door.
She takes it very personally if you have the door closed.
Oh yeah, because it's like, what you doing back there that you don't want me to know?
Yeah, I have Kaya looking at me from the French doors, and
Okay.
then the other door going to the hallway, that's where Thina's crying.
So you're back upstairs in your office then?
Yeah, unless it gets up to, like, an 80, 90 degrees with, like, that 70% humidity,
Oh yeah.
I'm up here.
But I think though, Jess, we're at a point now where October is Wednesday.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, as you are aware, we do have a couple of days in October, but this hot. But generally, I think we're going to be heading downtrend where it's cooler and crisper in the mornings and all that stuff. So,
Thankfully.
well, I mean, worst case too, Jess, if you need to, you can always run an extension cord from out back around out front.
Yeah, just, like, alongside the house.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if need be. I mean, it might just be a matter of maybe the outlet itself is broken because I would assume that it was hooked up. I would assume, unless check the circuit breaker downstairs. Maybe it's turned off for some reason. I don't know why that would be, but
Yeah, knowing this house, I don't trust anything. So
your house and Justin, our house is the same thing. If you know what I mean.
yeah. Yeah, they were I'm pretty sure they were built, like, around the same year
Oh,
and had owners that just kinda jerry-rigged things.
yep. Well, it
Um,
doesn't help, with our house, as by growing up here, that the former owner, he was a plumber, but some of the shit he did was not up to code.
no.
So it's like, oh, who needs code? Let's just bypass the shower in the basement and let's just carve a freaking trench into the sump pump. Yeah, that's up to code.
I still think there's, like, money, like, either that or, like, gold buried somewhere in the yard somewhere.
Well, I did get a metal detector a couple years ago.
I would go
I
through
haven't
it.
used it. Haven't used it yet.
Go through it and see if the old owner kind of passes by a little more often.
Well, and I think that's why she does. Is she's like, "Oh, have they found it yet?"
That's exactly what I'm thinking. It's
Yeah,
like, why
have
would
they
she
found it yet?
pass by so much and, like, look in the yard?
Well, she's a nosy old biddy for one thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, when she walks by and picks up trash outside, come on, seriously, in our yard that they haven't owned this house. We've been here now for 29 years. Well, no, we got. Well, yeah, no. I'm sorry. We've been here for 26 years. So they haven't owned the house for 26 years. So stay the hell out of my yard and quit picking the trash. That's my trash. God damn it. All right.
Bath.
Let's. What's that, Jess?
Bath time.
Yes. Well, just really quick, we are working on behind the scenes. Excuse me, getting the if you're new to our podcast here, me and Jess, we're looking at doing reaction videos to paranormal stuff, ghost, stuff. And so we're working on that, and we've already came up with a name, and the name is the Spider's Web, which I think is cool because that's like a catch-all. Plus, it has Halloween feel, spooky feel to it.
Yes.
So the YouTube channels are already made, but if you go there, there ain't shit there. It's made. I have the spider web as our profile picture, I guess, and that's about it. So I'm hoping hopefully by the end of the year that we'll be doing reaction videos. And like I said before, I'm going to piss a lot of people off because I I don't well do being an investigator. Oh God, excuse me, being an investigator for as long as we have been. I doubt everything. Oh, that was me hitting the keyboard. If I'm not there, I don't trust anything because now AI, you can edit anything you want. So unless I am there and see it firsthand, I doubt everybody. And I know I'm going to piss off a lot of people because just because of that, I don't trust anybody. And from what I kind of want is YouTube reaction videos. It's going to be honest. That's what I'm kind of looking at, Jess. Is I want it to be honest
Yeah.
because I I absolutely hate like the one that we used to watch until it got stupid is that paranormal caught on camera. I believe it is.
Yeah.
It's on Travel Channel now, and I have not one time is obviously the video was sus, very much so, and nobody raised the flags. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's." And then you have this other one. Her name is Susan, and if you see the show, you know who I'm talking about. She puts these big old words out there, like she's like, not that she doesn't know what she's talking about, but she puts these big words out. She doesn't make like complete sentences or anything that makes sense. And then you have the other one that is a internet content creator, and she has her own podcast. So she's trying to get views too. But anyways, yeah, I don't like that where everyone agrees with everything that's being put on there. And my vision is to be brute. And there is one on YouTube. It's called Goose Pimples, and they kind of got away from it, but they used to do the exact same thing. Is they would kind of like try to disprove the actual video by saying, "Oh well, this could be easily faked with this, with this, with this." So that I don't know if I want to be like that where I'm trying to disprove every freaking video, but I want to be honest and say, you know what, from our experiences, that does not happen, or yeah, too much activity in a short period of time.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm going with this at here. All right, I just took a drink of smart water, so I should be good for a few minutes before my throat starts getting sore again. Okay. We have been well, we have been going to the school bombing site in Bath for years. I've read the books. I know quite a bit about it. I'm not expert by any means, but I know quite a bit about it. And this a week from today, we're going to be talking about our experiences there in Bath. I think, Jess, I think that you've had a few experiences there too.
Yeah.
I believe. Okay, so we will talk about that a week from today, our experiences, and we have seen like in our years. I'm not talking just one time. In our years there, we have seen between me and your mom and to Dennis, we have seen like three different apparitions there. Um, People, having their shirts being pulled, their pant legs being pulled. So, but I think it's important, and I know this is against your mom's wishes, Jess. She did not want me to do this because it's not paranormal. So, this podcast is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be talking about Bath, what happened, and I think it's important because yes, the park itself is active. It has been for years, but I really don't think people know about it. What exactly happened.
Right.
So I am not in any way, stretch, or form am I glamorizing the person that freaking did this, but I think it's important to know what happened, and not just, "Oh, a school got blown up, years ago, and, this," no, I think it's important to understand what exactly happened. So, like I said, this is gonna be a little out of the ordinary for us. We're not really talking, at least this episode, not anything paranormal per se, but I think it's important to remember what happened there. So, and that's where this podcast is going to be about, strictly what happened in Bath. So, essentially, and there are 3, well, 2 books. There's a 3rd book, but I don't consider that a book because it I didn't like it. I won't mention what book it was, but it just came out, like, what, 10 years ago, and it's called The Bath Disaster, I think it's called. I don't have it in front of me. I did buy it, believe it or not. Um, the 2 books that I have got a lot of my information on is one, Mayday is, what it's called. It's The History of a Village Holocaust. It's by Grant Parker. That's a lot of really good information in this. The other one is The Bath School Disaster by M.J. Ellsworth. And this one is interesting because it has pictures about halfway through. Excuse me. It has a list of the people that passed, the ones that were injured, and then it has pictures of who passed. Or not, yeah, 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 yeah. Of who I was going to say that ones that were alive too, but no, all these people had passed, and it's kind of interesting because you have to remember the kids in this, um, because what happened here was 45 people were killed, and that's including the actual bomber in this. He was killed, so 45 people were killed. 38 were children under 14. It was the worst terrorism, I guess, until I think Oklahoma City was actually worse. But this book by M.J. Ellsworth, it like I said, like for example, I'm looking one here, and it said that I won't name. Well, I guess I probably could. Um, and a lot of the actual victims here were brothers and sisters. One family lost 3 sisters. These ones here, Wilma, Marie, and George Hall. They weren't brothers and sisters, but they had passed, from this. And it says George Hall, he was very mischievous. He didn't care much about going to school. Who does? And he liked excuses so he could stay out and play. Okay. Excuse me. And Vivian Hart, she liked to sew and made all of her doll clothes. Um, Vivian played the piano well, but had planned on being a singer, as she said that playing the piano was too hard work. So yeah, but it's kind of interesting because even back then they tried, or more specifically, this M.J. Ellsworth, he tried to make a profit off of this. He self-published this book, and he ordered like a shitload of them, and only a handful sold. So he was left with boxes and boxes of unsold books, and I read that in research and stuff. S Ava, you're back, Ava. Welcome back. Not trying to, like, embarrass you, Ava, but welcome back.
We've missed you.
3 weeks, and I'm saying that sincerely. I'm not saying that sarcastically. I'm saying welcome back. So yeah, so he tried. It's M.J. Ellsworth. He lived half a rod from the school bomber, and I looked it up, and half a rod is like I think a mile and a half or something like that. So he tried to make a profit off of this. It didn't work. And then the other book that came out, the the Bath historian Gene Wilkins. He has since passed away, but he had a book that I didn't know was even out there, and it said my scrapbook on the Bath School bombing, with many never before published photographs, stories, and survivors' quotes. And this one is actually interesting, and he is true. There are pictures that I have not ever seen before. Like I said, people know what we do, and my aunt, I think it's my aunt Flossie, years ago, sent me a picture from the State Journal. I think it was. I'm trying to see. Oh, I didn't know this. This is a whole article. Oh crap. I didn't know this. Um, I'm trying to see what the I don't see what it says, but it was massacre. The state has its own history of bombing and killings at the schoolhouse. Oh, Gene Wilkins. Okay. But yeah, I don't know what paper this was out of, but she had sent me this. I found one off the internet that is an aerial view. I don't know how the hell they did this because this is way before drones and stuff. So I don't know how they did that, but that picture I had not ever seen before. So yeah, if you get a chance, these two books, Mayday and the Bass. I don't know if you can even find the Bass School Disaster book by M.J. Ellsworth. These the small town of Bath, they had a pharmacy, and that's where I got it from years and years and years ago. So I'm not for sure if any of those books. I know that one from Gene Wilkinson's is probably not available for purchase because that was like a self published one again. So, anyways, so basically, like I said, this is going to be a little out of the ordinary. We're going to be talking about the what happened at Bath, and I think it's important because a lot of paranormal groups have been there. We always ask permission, and we usually get it because we don't cause any trouble or nothing, and we usually get permission to be there after hours. So the Bath Police Department, gives us permission. Christy is my contact over there, and I'll get an email back saying, you have, permission to be there, and keep that with you in case the police department. But the police department never, ever harasses us ever. I mean, I think maybe once a cop drove past in Bath just to get one word sweet guys of smart water.
I mean, but the Bath Township Police are like probably the coolest police department around
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. The only problem that we had one time was a couple years ago. We had we were doing an interview with Fox 47 here in Lansing, and Michaela was there, and a cameraman was there. And again, I had asked for permission, and we did an interview, to be aired on TV there in the graveyard in town. And the graveyard is where the majority, not the majority, but some of the actual victims are at. And we had a dude that came. There's an apartment complex across the street, and this guy comes over all huffy and puffy. You're not supposed to be here. It's after dark. And the light from the camera is bothering people across the street. I'm like, dude, for one thing, I got permission to be here. Here's the freaking letter. The police department is right here. If you want to walk over there with me, I'm sure they'll clear it with you. Oh no, that's okay. I just want to know. I'm like, dude, just get on my face, bud. So we always get permission. But where I was going is there was this one group that investigated the school site, and okay, my biggest thing is if you're going to investigate someplace, know your freaking history, man. I hate that. Just know your history. So, anyways, and I will tell you this here shortly. And they're like, oh, there was this kid who survived the original bombing, but he got killed when he came back. Okay, okay, do your freaking research. The kid that got killed was Cleo Clayton, okay? And like I said, I'm going to tell you the whole story, what happened. But know your history, do some research. Just don't talk out your ass, and it makes you look stupid, and it makes everyone like these guys are not credible.
Well,
So
especially
anyway,
when it comes to something as sensitive as this.
yes, yes. No, no. I mean, and we have just like we did a presentation at the library there, right? Oh, hey, John. Thank you, super fan. We got two. Woohoo! And I better not do that woohoo too many more times. My throat's going by. And we were going to have protesters out there because, and when one person on YouTube, they're like, "Oh, I was I was born I was born on that day," but she had nothing to do with the freaking school bombing. She had no relatives that were there, but because she was born on that day, she felt like it was a touchy subject, which it
Mhm.
could be. But unless you lost someone or you knew someone who lost someone, you got nothing to say about it. So, anyways, so basically, what happened? Okay, basically, Bath is a small town. It's from here in Lansing, as the crow flies. It's about maybe 20 minutes, maybe, depending on how fast you drive and stuff, and traffic. Um, and what happened was, and this is where we're going to get into the details about this. And like I said, a week from today, we'll talk about the actual evidence that we got. But I feel it's important to tell you what happened there. It's just not a person blew it up. No, there's more involved than that. So the actual school bombing happened May 18th, 1927. That's when the actual school was blown up. But the 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 workings of it, if you will, and what got the wheels turning, if you will, was a couple years before that. Okay, there was he was a farmer. He lived about a half of a mile outside of town on Watson and Clark Road. His house is gone, obviously, and I'll explain that to you here shortly. So, excuse me. So they had back in the 20s, and I'm sure the 1800s too. They had a lot of like one room country schoolhouses, and the people in Bath decided to combine the schools, kindergarten through 12th grade, into a new building in Bath called the Consolidated Bath Schools. And the where the school once stood is on Main Street and Webster, and it's right there. And there was a church beside it, and it was the church is still there. And the only thing that I do not know, I have not been able to find, there was an older woman whose house was destroyed by the school blast. So the only thing I can think of is it had to be as you're facing this front of the school, it had to have been to the left because that's the only part of the school that was blown up, I guess. So when they combined all the classes into one school, they had to raise taxes to pay for the school, kind of like how it is, currently now. If a school wants to add on or build and add on to a school or maintenance, whatever, they do a bond millage to get money, taxpayers' money to put things up, and it's I mean I understand that you're going to raise taxes, but from my understanding, the taxes that were being increased was like minimal. Okay. Well, again, he was a farmer and he had a two-story house, and his was the only house in Bath that had hot water through all two levels of his house. And he had a barn, he had livestock. He was a farmer. He had tractors, combines, all that stuff. Well, right after, well, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So he was on the school board, and he was the school treasurer. And I guess I shouldn't tell you who he is. His name was Andrew Kehoe. He was born in Tecumseh, Michigan, and he was a prime suspect of his stepmom being killed. He was known to harm pets. So this is where, shit like this, you harm pets as a kid, you grow up to harm adults or, humans. So the family pet turned up missing. He was suspected of killing it. And this was back when you had wood burning stoves in your kitchen. for cooking. So his stepmother was cooking or starting a fire, and they think that somehow they or he altered the stove so it like backfired on her and caught her on fire. Well, he threw water on it. Okay, it's like a grease fire. So he threw water on her, and it just made the flames worse. It spread the flames. So she passed. He was a suspect, but they couldn't prove it. So they just said it was a faulty stove or a wood burning oven. Excuse me. Some more smart water. So he already had a history of that. So he went up for reelection, Andrew Kehoe. And again, I'm not glorifying him. I'm not putting him on a pedestal. That is who it was. And he ran for reelection for school treasurer. He got defeated. So that kind of pissed him off a little bit. So in his mind, how do you get back at the people of Bath? Get back at their children. That's how you get back. So that's exactly what he did. Right after World War II, I'm sorry, after World War One, Uncle Sam was giving farmers away extra TNT because they could use the TNT to blow up stumps in their fields, which would mean more area to plant crop or produce, which would help the local economy, the local farmers, local people. So the witnesses, and like I said, the main witness was this J or MJ Ellsworth. He said that it was not uncommon to hear explosions from Kehoe's farm because he was using that excess Uncle Sam's TNT supply inventory to blow up stumps in his land. But he also started to experiment with timers, watches, so he could tell or set a watch to set off the TNT at a specific time, which is important. So that's what he was doing. Well, in his mind, he's like, okay, I'm, whatever, whatever. So, and like I said, he lived about a half a mile outside of town. And back then, everyone helped everyone. So if your friend, had issues and he needed help to paint his house, whatever, the whole community would chip in. Well, after he lost re-election for the school treasurer, the school was looking for a handyman, and it was quite known through the area that he was a excellent handyman. He could fix anything. So you know, and at this point, the community had no reason to think that he was going to do anything stupid like this. So the school agreed to hire him as a handyman. And I also read also too the coroner's inquest, which is a really thick freaking book. I got it off of the internet, and it talks about the inquest, how they're interviewing witnesses and compiling everything together. Well, this older woman that lived in front of the school, or her house was in front of the school, she testified that's the word I was trying to find. She testified that at night, and back then they called their trucks machines. So it wasn't a Ford truck, it was a Ford machine. Well, Kehoe had a 1925, I think it was, Ford truck, so machine. And she would regularly see him at night. And she said it was always at night, like, 9, 10 o'clock at night. He would pull up and he would bring stuff from his machine into the school. And she knew that he was the handyman for the school. So she just assumed, naturally assumed, who wouldn't, that he was bringing stuff in to fix the water pump, the furnace, whatever. Well, he was actually bringing in TNT and he was planting it in the freaking basement. But here's where it's smart, okay? He hid the stuff. So it wasn't like he just had TNT hanging from the, rafters, whatever, or from the floor. He used pieces of gutter, put the TNT on the pieces of gutter, then used a second piece of gutter to push it out of view so you couldn't see it. It was smart. And then he used watches as timing devices. Well, he had this whole thing planned out. And excuse me, his wife, she was, and I guess, yeah. So hold on, I'm getting a little bit ahead of me here. Hold on. So that's what he did, and he planned this specifically for May 18th. It was the last day of school for the school in Bath. Well, it came to find out afterwards that he was afraid of losing the house because of the increase in taxes to build the new school building. He got behind on his property taxes and mortgage, and he thought they were going to foreclose on the house. Well, the only problem with that is his wife, her uncle, Lawrence, I forget his last name. He owned the house, and he had come out afterwards and said, "I would not have foreclosed on the house. I wasn't going to kick my niece, out of the house." So that was not going to happen. But in Kehoe's mind, he thought that was what was going to happen. So after he's been putting this stuff, excess TNT in the school, and it's important to know that the superintendent, his name was Emery, and I've heard it pronounced Huck or Hayek. I personally pronounce it Hayek, not Huck. So Hayek, okay. Him and Kehoe had problems, and by problems I mean they always disagreed about everything. So if Emery Hayek wanted to hire a new teacher, when Kehoe was still on the school board, he objected. When if Hayek wanted to give the teachers one extra week off during the actual summer months, Kehoe said no. So they were always at odds with each other. Well, his wife, Kehoe's wife, she had an ailment, and they didn't know, the hospital and doctors did not know what her problem was. They thought TB, but they weren't entirely for sure. So she was in and out of the hospital, Sparrow Hospital here in town. She was in and out of the hospital often. And the day before the actual school bombing, she had just came back from the hospital. So it was time to get his plan moving. So, like I said, the last day of school, May 18th, and he killed his wife and put her in a wheelbarrow under a tarp out behind his house. And she was not found for a couple of days after because they didn't know what happened to her. So after he killed his wife, and by him I mean Kehoe, then he set his barn on fire, his pig pen on fire, and he tied his horse's legs together so they couldn't escape. So the horses perished in his fire too. The pigs expired in the actual fire. He burned his house down. And when the people in town heard the explosions, it's about half a mile outside town, they all went towards his house because that's what they did then, right? Well, they got halfway to his house and there was an explosion in town. The school blew up. So then they're like, whoa, shit, stopped and went back into town. And when they got there, only the north wing of the school had blown up. The rest of the school was perfectly fine. So obviously, that they started, pulling kids out, the teachers out, going through debris, pieces of wood, plaster. And they said that some of the kids who came out, they were covered in plaster, and it freaked the people out because they're like, he's a ghost or she's a ghost. But it's actually they were just covered in plaster. Well, the seniors were in the church, and the church is still there. The church, which is right next to the south part of the school, the seniors were in there doing graduation practices. The rest of the kids were doing final exams, and that's why, a lot of the kids were there. And so, while they're trying to clear up the school, Kehoe comes into town. He comes down Clark Road, turns left on Main Street. He drives past the school, and he sees that the majority of the school is still standing. He continues north on Slight Street. He turned left on Slight up to Chandler to Clark, turned left on Clark, went past his smoldering house that has now totally burned down to the ground, came back into Bath, turned Main Street, and he parked right in front of the school. So he basically did a mile square to come back. He sees Emery Hayek, the superintendent, out in front. He sees a retired farmer, Nelson McFerrin. He sees the postmaster, Glenn O. Smith, and he sees the above aforementioned child, Cleo Clayton. He calls him over to his truck, then blows the truck up. And he had TNT and shrapnel in the bed of his machine. Now I've heard two ways that he set off this. I heard one story was he had a push button on in his truck. He pushed the button, it blew up. The other story I hear is that he had a shotgun. He looked behind him, shot into the shrapnel and TNT because he had TNT in there also, and that's what set off the explosion. Well, they found his body across the street in some flower garden, I think it was, and the only way that they could identify him was his ID was in his wallet and what was left of his actual body. Well, unfortunately, Glenn Smith, he had his right leg tore off almost at the knee, and he was on Main Street there, and they wanted to take him to the hospital, but he goes, "No, there's other people hurt more than I am. Take them first." Well, he unfortunately passed on the way to the hospital in a separate ambulance. Mr. McFerrin, the retired farmer, he passed away on site as far as Cleo Clayton. I want to say 8 or 9 years old, and he survived the original bombing, but he was killed. Unfortunately, it's just weird shit when Kehoe came back. Well, after everything was all said and done and everything, and the state police found 500 pounds, 500 pounds of unexploded TNT. He meant for the whole school to be obliterated. He really did. And just up until a couple years, I don't know why they freaking did this. If if you were there, it's just a park now. You would not know unless you know the history of what happened there. It's just a park. The only thing that is left there is the cupola, and that was on top of the actual school. And that's the only remnants of the original school that was there at the time of the actual explosion. If you go across the street, there's a school over there now. Is that at the school? Well, they have a museum there, and during when school's okay, not in session, but during a school year, you can go over there from like 10 to 4. No appointment. You just show up, and they have like the floor plan of the school. They have some artifacts like the superintendent's safe. They have the flag that was flying over the school, and they have a lot of interesting pictures. And let me get a drink of water real fast. Excuse me. And one of the things that was interesting and I don't remember who it was. He was in kindergarten. I'm sorry, kindergartner. He was in kindergarten, and at the school. And when the explosion happened, he woke up because he was temporarily knocked unconscious, and he woke up and he grabbed the chair that he was sitting in, which was his school chair, and carried it all. He ran home carrying the chair over his head. And they asked him, there was a thing there. He goes, "I don't know why I did it. I just did." you know. So this is weird things like that. And like I said, I'm not a expert on Bath. I know quite a bit about Bath, but I'm not an expert on Bath. But we have gone, me and the wife, we have gone to every grave of the actual victims of Bath, like every one of them. Even Kehoe. Kehoe is in an unmarked grave. I know where he's at, obviously. Yeah, but so we took like a whole summer a couple years ago, pre COVID, and went and visited every grave site and paid our respects. So I feel connected. But the funny thing is we did, like I said, a presentation in Tecumseh. This was in 2019, and afterwards, and after the presentation, there's always people that want to show us pictures, videos of anything that they might have captured or stories or whatever. Excuse me, and oh God, excuse me. Um, I'm getting a little plugged up here. Um, I had this one woman come up to me, and she goes, "Do you know?" Because I always talk about what happened in Bath in our presentation, and she goes, "Do you know why you're so fascinated with what happened in Bath?" And I'm like, "No, no, because I really haven't thought about it. I just know that I like what happened, whatever. I mean, I don't like what happened as far as people were killed, but I like to know the history of it." And she goes, "The reason why you're so interested is because you were there." And as Jesse can contest, I'm hardly ever lost for words. I have something to say about everything. And I sat there and I'm like, "Oh, okay, thank you." I didn't ask why, how she knew this or anything. And she goes, "You were there. You were one of the kids that were killed in Bath." And I'm like, and she's like, "You were between, your name was Robert, and you were between 9 and 10 years old." I'm like, "Well, there was two Roberts that were killed in Bath. The oldest was being 12." She goes, "That's the one that you were. That's who you were when the school happened. He was killed in the school explosion." And again, I wasn't like, "Okay, cool, thank you. How did you know this?" I'm like, "Okay, thanks." And she walked away, and it's like, "Oh my God, okay." But I'm still learning about Bath all the time. They actually put up a school. James Cousin, he was a Michigan. He is a politician. Oh, Kehoe's wife, her uncle's last name was Price, Lawrence Price. He was a politician, a Civil War hero. He had money. His family had wealth, and he owned the house. So James Cousin, he was. I don't think he was the governor of Michigan. I think he was a politician. He started a penny fund where school kids could send in the penny, and they put this they melted down all the pennies, and it's quite famous. It's actually on this one book. It is a sculpture made of pennies of a small girl holding, I want to say, a teddy bear. No, holding a cat. I'm sorry, holding a cat, and that is in the museum across the street. Well, the James Cousins Agricultural School that stood until, I want to say, the late 70s. It was up until it was put on the site, I want to say, in the 30s or 40s, and it was a school until the mid 70s, and then that was torn down also, and then they made it into a park, and that's basically what it is now. It's a park, but I'm still learning. Like I said, I'm still learning about this stuff. And there was an article in the Detroit Free Press years ago that I read, and they interviewed two boys, or I'm sorry, one of these survivors of the school bombing, And so he was probably in his 80s for the actual interview. And he said that him and his friend got off the school bus on that day, and he saw Kehoe, and Kehoe had a check that he was giving to the actual school driver. And he goes, "Oh, it's your last day of school, boys." No, I'm sorry. He said it's the last day, boys. So they thought, well, yeah, it's the last day of school. So that's why he said that. And they said it wasn't until after the fact that they realized it was the last day of their lives, because Kehoe knew exactly what happened, or was what was going to happen. Now there is and I found this out a couple years ago. I got to take one more drink of water, guys. I'm sorry. If you came in late, people, my throat's really sore. My nose is starting to get plugged up. So I'm going to try to, soldier on for this in the next 10, 15 minutes here. But it's becoming increasingly difficult to talk. Plus I got a nose full of snot that I got to blow. But anyways, um, where was I going with this? I forgot what I was going. The school bus, last day of school. Um, I was going someplace with this. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there was a little bit of an issue, and I found this out a couple years ago, that some people said that the school blew up at 8:45 in the AM, and some people say it's 9:45 in the morning. Well, back then, back in 1927, you could determine whether or not you were on Central Time or Eastern Time. So that's the confusion, because if they recognize Central Standard Time or Central Daylight Time, whichever, then it would have been 8:45. If they were on Eastern Time, it would have been 9:45. So there's where the discrepancy is, right there. So, and I just found out again about this, was there Kehoe, there was on Main Street, about half of a block north of the school. That's where the downtown part of town was back then. And there was no, it wasn't a postal office. It was a rail service, because a train came through there. Well, Kehoe had sent all of his records when he was the treasurer of the school board. He put all of his, like, records and stuff in this crate, and the crate was marked TNT, and he had explicit instructions when to mail this after the school blew up. He had everything planned. So so he was walking back to the school, and he had come across a local farmer, Delbert somebody. I'm sorry, I'm not prepared for this part right here. And Kehoe knew when the timer was going to go off in the school. Well, this Delbert guy, he said that the water pressure in the school was bad, and he wanted to know if Kehoe could come with him right now and take a look at it. Well, Kehoe looked at his watch and goes, "Oh shit." I'm paraphrasing here. I'm taking liberties here. I don't know if he actually said "oh shit," but I'm saying "oh shit." Oh shit. He goes, "School's going to blow up in 10 minutes." So he was a little bit nervous because he knew what was going to happen here shortly. But I guess he talked him out of it somehow, and he didn't end up going into the school. But afterwards, they determined that the reason why the extra 500 pounds of TNT did not explode was Kehoe had miscalculated the actual distance between two watches, and it was too far for the current to go from one watch to the other watch. And that's why the 500 pounds of unexploded TNT did not explode. If it had exploded, forget about it. The rest of the school, the whole school would have been gone, like totally gone. So I guess we're fortunate in that perspective. So there was some, like, sad stories that came out of this, I guess. One of them was There was a teacher. She had just turned 21, Hazel Weatherby. She's buried up in Alba, which from Lansing is about an hour and a half drive. And she was found deceased in the school, holding two other children under each arm, also deceased. Um, there was Blanche Hart was a teacher. She was found deceased in the school rubble also. And they did renovations on the church just a couple years ago, and Emery Hayek's widow, she put in it's still there. She put in a stained glass window as a memorial to him and what happened there. They detected undetermined or unknown structural damage to the school that I'm sorry, to the church from the school. So they had to have that fixed. Okay. Um, so basically, that's what happened in Bath. Like I said, I thought I mean, this is not our usual podcast talking about the paranormal, but I felt it was important to tell you guys what happened in Bath. Then a week from today, we'll talk about some of our in Bath because we have been there many times, and we will talk about our experiences there. We have had experiences there. We've seen apparitions there. So that's more of our podcast, kind of thing. But like I said, I thought that this was important to at least discuss what happened in Bath because even though it happened, 98 years ago? Damn, that's quick math in my head. Holy crap. I didn't know. Oh, that's the smart water that I'm drinking. It does make you smart. So 98 years ago, um, this happened. It's still touchy in Bath, but I think it was important to at least tell you guys, what happened in Bath, not just some crazy guy blew it up. Well, they found a sign, a homemade sign on Kehoe's property. It was pinned up to a piece of fence, and it said, "Criminals are made, not born." So what he is basically saying in that, if you haven't, figured it out already, is what happened with him with the unsuccessful reelection for the school treasury that he got unelected, I guess, and everyone did not treat him with in his mind with the respect that he deserved. So that's why he's saying that they are made. He was not actually born a criminal, but he was made to be a criminal by how people treated him in in town, basically. And to go back to when he dropped off that box that said TNT at the railroad station, when before that was shipped, right? Because this happened after the school got blown up. Everyone was freaking out. They're like, "Holy shit! Is he sending the box of TNT?" No, it was just his records. And he said he put a piece of paper in there, and it says something to the effect that you will find these records to be correct, even though I had like a 3 cent discrepancy in some of his figures. 3 cent. He was very meticulous, I guess you would say, in his work, and he was off by 3 cents, and that's he put a note saying that I was off by 3 cents. So, like I said, we have been to every gravesite of every victim, and I always do a presentation. I'm sorry, in our presentations, I always tell this story, and Jesse can probably guess where I'm going. Let me get his picture up. His name was, and I can't pronounce his last. Oh, here's one here. Here's for an example. This family lost three sisters in this: Ruth, Otella, and Emma. So I mean, can you imagine sending your kids off to a school and they don't come home from school? Um, there's actually just happened actually before I came on this podcast. Um, a shooting in Grand Blanc, which is over by Flint. here in Michigan at a church, and the shooter is no longer living, but he there was numerous victims, and the church was set on fire. And this was about an hour ago, and it was a still active area. So this this one kid, I'm going to say his last name. I always struggled with his last name. It was Arnold Hourly. Hourly, I guess you would say that. He had whooping cough, and he had missed a week of school. And May 18th, like I said, was the last day of school when the school got blown up. And his parents were coming into Lansing shopping. And he asked his mom if he could skip school and come with them to Lansing and go shopping with them. And his mom said, "No, honey." And again, I'm paraphrasing, I'm taking liberty, but being a parent, that's what kind of what I would say. I'm like, honey, I'm sorry. You've missed a whole week of school. This is the last day of school. You're having exams, and you have to be in school. He died in the school bombing. So, I mean, how would you think that they felt saying that you had to go to school and he got killed in the school bombing? Whereas if they would let him go with them to Lansing, he still would have been alive. And he was only, I think, do they have his age in here? He was only like 9 years old, maybe, if even that old. Let me see. Um, where you at? Come on there. There you go. Arnold. Okay, he was yeah, he was 7. Yeah, he was 8 years old when he passed. Yeah. And there is a picture of him in in this book. Cute kid. And what's even more heart-wrenching, if you will, is they lined up there's if you a little bit to the north of the school, there's like a grassy incline area, and that's where they laid the victims at with coverings over them. And can you imagine they took the parents and walked them along that grassy hill area to identify their children? I mean, that's just mind-boggling to me. It's like, man, can you imagine? And like I said, some families lost 2 or 3 kids, and it was said that not everybody that everyone knew in Bath at that time. Everyone knew people that were involved in this. So it wasn't like it was some huge town where only a few people. This is still a small town com- community, and everyone you know today everyone doesn't know everyone like they did back in the day. So everyone knew someone who was involved in the school bombing, either lost a child or 2 or 3 children per family. So, all right, do you have anything else, Jess, that you want to add?
I I just can't imagine the guilt that Andrew's parents carried with them for the rest of their lives.
Oh, I know. It's like if they would have just said, "Yeah, honey, you can't come with us," they would be a lot. He would be past now because that was a long time ago, but he would have grown up. And I don't think I said this. Okay, the kid. Oh, I got to blow my nose. He was he was in the third grade, and even at that age, he had a great head for figures. He asked to be given numbers which often ran into the millions. His father often told him he would not ever be a farmer because he ate so slow. And it says he was always busy at something. If not in school, he was playing baseball. And here it said Arnold wanted to go with to Lansing with his parents on the day he was killed. but he had whooping cough and had been out of school so much that they thought he ought to stay out of or that he should not stay out of school any longer. They were in Lansing at the time of the blast at school. He is survived by his father and mom, Mr. and Mrs. Henry Bowerly, one brother and one sister. So
But but
it,
also, like, the evil someone has to have inside them to go after children.
yeah, well, like I said, that's how he thought Kehoe would be the best way to get back at the town of Bath to go after innocent kids.
Absolutely evil.
It is. I guess if anyone that is still here listening or whatever, if you have any questions, um, before we end this, please go into the chat and ask away. Anything that I didn't have I wasn't clear about on Bath or this upcoming episode a week from today. If anyone has any questions, this would be a good time to ask away, and we will try our best to answer. And if not, I'll just mute you. Oh man, my nose is killing me. Throat's killing me. All right. Well, I don't think, or I'll give a few more seconds here in case people are like me and they type really slow. And that's why I don't type. But I am working on a book, and I've said this before, and I'm going to start here probably pretty soon. It's going to be a book about Bath, but it's not going to be about necessarily the paranormal part of it. It's going to be more to remember the actual victims. I've already know I already have a outline of how I'm going to approach this. So, and with me knowing as much as I know, again, I'm not expert, but I know a lot more than the average person does about Bath. Um, yeah, I think it's going to be a good book. So, yeah, Crazy Lady, it is. Like I said, that's going to be this upcoming episode a week from today. But we have seen three apparitions there. Um, we've had experiences where we felt like our shirts being tugged, like excuse me, how a kid would. Your pant legs being tugged again, the same thing. Excuse me, thing. And for some reason, every time about 9:45, we think Kehoe comes back because it almost like clockwork, the wind picks up and the activity stops, like stops.
And it's almost
And
like the energy, the air just feels heavier.
yeah, and we do as Jess can contest to this. We do at approximately about 9:30. We always do. I have this brown book by M.J. Ellsworth, and it does list the actual victims of the school bombing. So we do roll call, and I'll post on our Facebook page a week from today. We got two EVPs from Bath that are crystal clear. I mean, it's a whisper, but it's crystal clear. You know exactly what is being said. So I'll post those two. But we always do a roll call, and in one picture, our son took it, and I am not okay. I'll be the first to admit I am not into. I do believe in pareidolia. See, that's a big word that this smart water is making me say. And not only that, it's also glacier smart water. But it's only $1, so I don't know how smart it's going to make me. But if you don't know, pareidolia is when your mind sees like human figures, human faces out of ordinary objects. Like if you were growing up in the 60s and 70s, like I was, wood paneling is the bomb for interior decoration. Every freaking wall almost had wood paneling. And you know how wood paneling will have all different kinds of, irregular stuff in them and stuff. Well, if you show a picture of wood paneling to 10 people, half of these people might see a, a face. It might see a figure. It's just pareidolia. So I'm not a big fan of seeing faces and stuff, and I will post this in a week. But there are faces in this freaking picture that our son took during the reading of the actual victims, and I call it roll call. I always say I'm a new teacher here. I don't know everyone by face yet, so I'm going to do roll call. And if you're here, say here or whatever, whatever. We have not actually gotten someone say here yet, but in this one picture, and like I said, a week from today, I'll post it on our Facebook page for our podcast. That's what it was. I mean, there was I have actually during my presentations, and I might post them too. You can see distinctively two people, well, three people that I can identify. If I can't identify them, I won't post the pictures on my presentation. I have seen Blanche Hart, definitely, definitely. Hazel Weatherby, definitely, definitely. And Mr. McFerrin, the retired farmer, definitely, definitely. And I have pictures from the book and pictures from that picture. And you, especially Mr. McFerrin, you cannot tell me it's not him. So I'm interested to see the comments a week from today when I post this stuff here. But yeah, the upcoming event, the upcoming podcast in a week is going to be our experiences in Bath, and we've had a few experiences in Bath. So, and again, if you came in late, me and Jess are going to do a hopefully we get it done or started in December. Hopefully that's my aim. Hopefully is we're going to do reaction videos on YouTube on our channel about paranormal ghost. We're going to give honest reactions. Excuse me, to videos that other YouTube channels have. And it's called the Spider's Web. And what I thought was cool is like everything sticks to a spider web. So yeah, if you go there now, the website's there, our profile picture is there, but that's it. There is nothing else. There's no descriptions, which I probably should work on maybe today. Work on that, but so yeah, it's called the Spider's Web. I will keep you guys all informed about this as we get closer. And we're also going to be doing a live stream, and I'll ask Jesse for this. What is the correct name, Jess, of that ghost thing?
Phasmophobia.
Thank you, because I always mess that up. I always mess it up. And we're aiming to do a live stream on that, so you'll be able to go to YouTube. I'm not for sure if it's going to be on the Spiders Web channel or some other channel, but I will inform you guys of that. And we are going to be playing this game, which you are ghost hunters in this game, and I heard it's scary as hell too. Um, and we have to find ghosts. When we have the equipment, it's a game, but you have like EMF meter, a laser grid, I think a thermal imaging camera, a night vision camera, I believe too is there. So that should be interesting. And if you want to hear four grown people scream like a bitch, watch that stream. I'm sure one of us will, and it'll probably be I might do a gasp or something, but yeah. So anyways, that's all said and done. Let's see here. I've only seen demonic things when I'm around witches. Okay. And when I'm alone, demons are scared of me. Well, that's probably a good thing. Try to stay away from witches, I guess. All right, guys. My throat's about ready to give out, so I think I am out. Unless Jess, as usual, do you have anything else to put in or to add?
Nope, time to put you out of your misery.
Dude, I've been out of my misery about half an hour ago. Trying to talk and my nose, I don't know if you can tell, but I sound sinusy.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I feel good otherwise. But it's just the more I talk, it's like my nose is starting to get plugged up, and I'm trying to keep it from running, and just a piece went down the back of my throat. But yeah, that's beside the point. So anyways, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, the three people that joined our fan club. Um, I'm not for sure what we're gonna do, just because There will not be one podcast where I will not play that sound bit. I like that sound bit. I'm new. I don't know what to do. And Ava, welcome back. We missed you, and thank you for coming back. And I guess, as usual, stay away from the light, and you have to be more afraid of the living than you do of the dead. And after this last sound bit, I will end the podcast. As usual, or as always, thank you, Jess, for joining in.
Absolutely.
And we will be here, health permitting, a week from today, and we will be talking about our experiences in the Bath school bombing site. So until then, guys, have a good week. If you're retired, lucky you, because I'm not quite there yet. I'm close though. I have about 2 years left, and I am done working, and then I'll be greeting at Walmart,
God.
cussing people out. Like, what? You seriously? Okay. Well, okay, guys. Thank you all for listening again. Have a good week. And I guess, too, is, in this world we are in now, be kind to each other. All right, guys. Until a week from today.
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Goodbye.